So, I watched Thor Love and Thunder and was incredibly disappointed. I really like Thor Ragnorock and was looking forward to this movie, but it is just not good. If you don't know, Thor Love and Thunder is the latest MCU movie. It follows Thor as he deals with Gore the God Butcher, played by Christian Bale, who wants to kill every single god, whilst also dealing with Natalie Portman, his ex-girlfriend, who has Thor powers. This movie is a mess. The script is terrible. A good amount of the first 30 minutes is completely unnecessary, and the movie could have started much later and the pacing would have been better for it. The humor does not work. They do the bad thing that they do in comedies sometimes, where they write jokes and then they just have characters say them regardless of their characterization. Natalie Portman is acting nothing like she does in the previous movies. There needs to be a comedic straight man. There isn't. Everyone is just making jokes that aren't good. The pacing of this movie is terrible. There are long stretches where nothing happens, and the exposition is handled terribly, of characters just spending like 5 minutes at a time explaining stuff. The worst example of this is everyone's been wondering how the new Marvel movies are going to make sense to people who either don't remember a lot of stuff from the previous movies or haven't seen a lot of the previous movies and spin-offs. This movie's solution is just have Korg narrate the plot of the previous Thor movies, completely ruining the pacing and cutting stuff off. When Thor and Natalie Portman finally see each other again for the first time, we get Korg narrating some footage of him talking about their relationship, which completely ruins the pacing of the scene because this happens in the middle of an action scene and is entirely unnecessary. I think even if you hadn't seen the previous Thor movies, you could understand that they were in a relationship due to context clues, and them bringing up the fact that they used to be in a relationship. There are so many things in this movie that are just assholes that weren't previously established, both within the MCU and within this movie itself. I'm not going to get into detailed spoilers about this, but one of the examples, which is this is established in the opening scene, is that Christian Bale has a sword that can kill gods, and all the gods are like, oh no, he has a sword that can kill gods. But previously, we've seen gods die without the sword. Did Loki get choked to death? Did Thanos have the sword hidden in his hand? Heimdall gets killed by like some rubble mostly and then finished off by Thanos. Was that rubble made of that sword? It just adds this dramatic element that doesn't really matter because gods have been killed before and without involving this sword, and that's just the least of this movie's worries. The amount of assholes in this movie is just incredible, with them bringing up like whole new powers not previously established that characters had. It reminded me of the Superman comics from the 40s where they just make stuff up and Superman would just get a new power. The action scenes in this movie are also terrible. They are the worst example of the Marvel style of action scenes where they take place in a Dark Souls boss arena where it's just an open field with like some stuff in the distance, and enemies come at them one by one and are easily dispatched by our main characters without any struggle until suddenly they're a problem. They use the slow motion scene from Thor Ragnorock where he's jumping through the air with lightning and coming down, like in every action scene at least once. Which it's like, oh, people like that in Thor Ragnarok, let's have that in every single action scene. It's just terrible. There's an action scene in this movie which is incredible conceptually but executed so poorly. They're fighting Gore the God Butcher and it's like grayscale because he's like a shadow guy, but Thor's powers and everyone else's powers, when they use them, they like create light that shines and you can see the colors. So like Thor, you know, he's using his lightning and the lightning's creating light on him so you can see the colors of his armor and his cape and stuff. It's executed so poorly and looks so shitty. I don't know the film terms to say like why this looks bad but other movies in grayscale or black and white look good. Like I don't know the process, but it looks like the only thing I compare it to is like a Snapchat filter where it doesn't take into account the lighting. Like it wasn't shot to be black and white / grayscale. It doesn't seem like it, so the lighting is just bad. It's like a normal scene with that filter on it, and it's so good conceptually but executed so poorly, which is a lot plot of this movie. The performances are awful. This movie felt like no one was directing it. Everyone's just going hog wild. Natalie Portman, like I said, is not using the previous characterization of her character. She's like if you just wrote generic MCU character. She's not like a smart doctor. No one is taking the situation seriously, and you'd think that it would be a plot point in the movie that Thor isn't taking it seriously and he's being an asshole because lives are at risk. And maybe Natalie Portman would be the straight man saying, you know, this is serious, you know, you need to take this more serious. That would lead to like a rift in a relationship until eventually they mend it. That would be like a movie, and it would have been true to her characterization previously. But no, everyone is just like, you know, whatever, life's at risk. I'm thinking of a catchphrase. Natalie Portman doesn't seem to care. She's acting more like female Thor than her characterizations previously. And then the rest of the performances, like I said, it's like there was no director. Everyone's just going hog fucking wild. Russel Crowe's Zeus performance is truly terrible. He's doing like a weird Russian accent, and it's just hamming it up, and I don't know what the fuck is going on. Someone should have said, hey, Russell, stop this. Christian Bale's performance is, once again, all over the place. I don't know what he's trying to do, especially given that the characterization of his character and the way his character acts don't really line up. His performance is fucking weird. It reminds me of like a Voldemort mixed with like a generic breathy villain where they're like, I will defeat you, Thor. All in all, I would not recommend watching this movie. It's not good. If you liked Ragnarok, you're gonna feel obligated to see it. I better take a chance. It could still be good. It's not good. Don't watch it. It's a waste of time. Anyway, what's your favorite MCU movie? Let me know in the comments below, and be sure to like and subscribe for more content. Bye bye.